Good morning and welcome to this week's video. Okay, let's talk about this for a second, real quick. Last time we worked, we poured this second beam here, across here. That's the first beam up there. You'll notice this column here has a bunch of corrections going on. This, you can see that I casted a piece out here because this column, when it went up, it went in like this. Let me see if I can get a better view. Sun's in the wrong position. Alright, you can see that this column was a big problem for me. The previous contractor really, anyway, you can see that this beam went in like this and got smaller as it went up to the top. And then also the beam itself was over here, too far this way in relationship to the other ones. Anyway, so what I do to correct that, to make sure that fell under the corner there, is I had to pour that out that way, and I'm gonna have to go back and remove some of this side here, and I'm gonna flash this side in, so it'll be even, and this way I can get this column straight. I'm not ready to do that just yet because I want to finish pouring the rest of this, but I wanted to point that out, that accuracy is important, because when you go to do something later, it becomes a real problem. But anyway, we're here. We've just completed the second beam across here. The pour is really good. I want to point out, I didn't build a cage for the steel completely, as I was running short of time, and I wanted to make sure I got this poured. I only put in the bottom two steels for the cage, and that's fine because the bottom two steels builds into the corner and the beam across here. The top two steels for this cage is not in the pour, it's above the pour. It's 3 inches above the pour, so we're going to build this cage before we pour these beams. I didn't take these pieces of boxing down because, well, that one I did for some reason. Don't know why, but that should have been up there. I was trying to leave these up there because that's already set for when we start boxing up across here. We don't have to put them back up there again. The problem with leaving them up there is that, as time goes by and weather, rain and sun hits them, they tend to bend up and lose position. So you don't want to leave them up there too long. Also, this column here and that wall column over there, we boxed and poured both of those. This one is boxed up to the height where we need for the bottom of the next beam. But we didn't pour it. We only poured it up to 2 feet under it, because when I pour this next beam across here, across this way and that way, I want to make sure that it pours down into the column and locks into that. Alright, this beam here, this column here is up to the height already that we need, and this one's up to the height already that we need. So we're all done with pouring or bringing up these columns to do the next beams. Let's go across here. I want you to note that these steels, these bottom steels that I've got built into this area, run all the way across this next column and all the way out across the back veranda. Here's a problem. This pour column that was previously done, not by me, I don't want to take credit for that, is not in the right place. It should be about 1.5 feet this way to tie into this next column. I'm going to correct that in this point when we belt and deck and continue up on the next floor. I'm going to move this column over to where it should be. Alright, and let's talk about that some more as we go out to the veranda here. I want to talk about these wall columns back here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. These I want to box and cast before I belt this area. I want to bring them up to about 1.5 feet below the wall there, so the belt will pour down into it. But I want to cast them up first. You can box them and cast them at the same time when you do the belt. It's just a lot more work at one time. So I'm just gonna try to get those poured over the next couple of days as much as possible. That way when we come to belt this area right here, I won't have to do as big a pour as I would. Notice that the steel for the, it's kind of hard for me to see here, the steel from the beams, from these beams, is across the back veranda, because we want to make I want 2 beams across here, 2 stiffeners, so that the veranda above it will be supported, right? And that's a lot of pour actually. This column here is a T, and that's going to take quite a bit. This one, this one, this one, that one. It'd be nice if I get those poured up. Now here's another thing. When we pour this next beam, this beam across here, we're going to have to pour that beam, these beams this way as well, right? This one, this one, this one, and these coming across to this back wall. All of these. That's going to be a pretty big pour, because those beams are really big. You're really only seeing like half of them. They're 15 inches wide. Right now they're 8 inches deep. There's going to be another 6 inches that's poured on top of that one. It's built into the deck. Right? We're going to switch. Here you see that all the caging we have done so far, we use 1/2 inch steel for the uprights, and we use 3/8 steel to make the stirrups to build the cage. Once we start blocking up upstairs, we're going to switch. We're still going to use 1/2 inch steel for the uprights. We're going to use 1/4 wire to make the stirrups. It's a lot less expensive, and it serves just as good a purpose. When I do the next belt on the next floor, however, I will use 3/8 steel again to do that. But as far as doing the 6 inches walls upstairs, wall columns and all that kind of stuff there, we can use 1/4 wire in there. Alright? The coconut tree has been getting chopped back more and more. I know people are asking, why don't we get rid of the tree? But I'm still eating coconuts from there, so yeah, and they're really sweet, that particular tree. Anyway, the columns in the back, would love to get them boxed and poured. To do that in about 2 days, I think. If I got 3 of them done per day, I could get that done in 2 days. So maybe even. Anyway, so there you go. We've got 2 sets of beams across here. We've got the last column brought up to height and poured. We've got that poured over there. And we also, I want to note too that here, the steel needs to, when we steel this up, the steel has to go across, all the way across, to support the roof of the utility room. Alright. Any questions, comments? Leave them below. And of course subscribe so you'll know when we post up another video. Again, thanks guys for watching and following me with this crazy project. thanks again. Have a great day.